I logged in early. I thought it would take longer than that to log in. Went quickly today. Hello, happy Wednesday. Today we are on lesson 9 of our feathers. I can't believe we've made it through that far. It seems like it took a really long time, and then it also seems like it was really short, probably because it was both. So leave me hello in South Carolina. I'm guessing that's Janet. It's good to see you. I have been trimming blocks today. I saw someone online talk about, oh, does anyone else love trimming blocks as much as I do? And my answer is no. It's kind of my least favorite thing to do, but I was just trimming some blocks, so I'm sure I'm wearing threads and little snips of fabric everywhere, making another wedding quilt because who can have too many feathers? So let me get started with, we're going to talk about feathers tonight. Has anyone done the feathered heart? Has anyone stitched a feather heart yet? Just let me know if you have. I'm trying to find my pen. I don't think a regular pen will work on my computer screen. So tonight we're going to talk about feathered hearts and what is different about a feathered heart than a feathered wreath. I'm not sure if that got bigger for you or not, but that's the feather heart that we did in the class. So how is a feather heart different than a feathered wreath? Because it really is. Let me pull up a drawing screen. And I'll start showing. Okay. Window, here we go. So when I'm working on a feathered wreath, I'm going around, and then I'm going to make my feathers go. Oh, the pen is just not loving it. I'm going to make the feathers go around, and I end up where I started. But on a feathered heart, I can start here. Oh, we're going to play this game? So none of that is working. The screen stopped working. So let me come and talk to you. Whenever I'm doing a feathered heart, I like to work from the middle and work my way out. My computer screen is not letting me draw on it right now. Let me pull up a video then that I can show you. Talk amongst yourselves for just a second. It's a good thing to have this in my back pocket. I just have to download the video. Is this it? Let's see if that is open. It is here. Give me 1 second to queue it up. Here we go. Okay, so let me come back and show you. It's always good to have a plan B. So here is some video. I filmed this on the long arm, fitting feathers in a heart. So it's playing. When I choose to do a feathered wreath, I start at the bottom. Okay, now when I'm looking at a feathered wreath, I could stitch all the way around it. I could start here and work my way around. But the feather, it doesn't accentuate the heart. What accentuates the heart is to divide it in half, left and right from the point in the middle of the top to the point in the middle of the bottom. And that means I have to do feathers going in one direction, feathers going in another direction. And that happens on things that are more than just feathers. It can happen on corners, in triangles, in swags. There's a lot of places where you're going to want to put feathers that go in two directions. But a heart is one that makes a lot of sense, and it will really show off why we're doing this. And I'm going to do, it's basically the same as doing a swag. I'm going to teardrop. So when I get started, I make a teardrop because I can just start with a feather here, and then I'd start with a feather here and have an open space. So I fill it in with a teardrop here that gives me, it's kind of the back end of both feathers to give me a place to change directions. Take up one side. I'm going to retrace back down. Make another teardrop. Okay, I'm hearing that the video is not on, so let me share that video again. Here we go. And again. All right. The video go button and the stop sharing button is in the same place. So here's the video. Take up one side. Now, you can have stitched your heart before you started. I'm stitching mine as I go just because I don't want to make knots at the end of everything. So I stitch the feather up and I'm going to stitch the spine back down. I'm going to retrace back down. Make another teardrop. And feather up the other side of the spine. Come back down and fill on the other side. Now, when I'm working on matching the second side to the first side, I'm not concerned with this, that I have the same number of feathers going up both sides. I never count. I make my feathers the size that I make them, and that's what it'll be. And that looks great on a quilt. So when I stitch those feathers on the heart, I can make them either the traditional feather or the flexible feather. And the flexible feather is the one that will fill the entire inside of the heart. The traditional feather is the one that's going to be the same size going all the way along. And you can draw guidelines to make that happen if you want or need that to happen. Oh, I'm reading your comment now. You are not seeing the video, just my happy face. So I'm sure that my face looked great as I'm looking at the computer and pressing buttons. My daughter and I FaceTime each other, and if we get a text on our phone while we're FaceTiming each other, our faces kind of go like that. So I'm sure you got some pretty interesting video on that. I apologize for the technical glitches today. But the feathered heart, I'm not much of a heart person on quilts, but I like feathered hearts. They work they're just so beautiful and so traditional, and you can do a lot with them. You can put 4 hearts together to make a big motif if you have a big blank block in the middle. They can be the corners of your quilt, the corners of your borders, and you can have feathers coming out of them. It's just really useful, and it's a great place to practice that, changing your feather from one direction and then going in the other direction. When I first started making feathers, I always made them go around clockwise. I don't know what that looks like to you, but that's clockwise the way I'm drawing it. And the reason I did that is the first quilt I did it on was on a long arm, and they were only feathers were in the 1, 2, 3, 4 corners of the borders. So I did the top 2, then I quilted all the way down, and when I got to the bottom, I couldn't remember which direction the feathers went. So at that day, I decided my feathers go clockwise. So that my feathers do always go clockwise, except when they don't. And when they don't is when it's reversed, is when I have to go in one direction and the other from that central point. And the biggest thing to remember on going out from a central point is to give yourself something to lay that first feather onto. And that can be a teardrop, it can be some swirls. Just give it something to lay onto and work your way out from each side. If I am working on a spine, and I will call it a bug because it looks like a head and a body of a bug, those the 2 little teardrops up and down with the spine going out to the side. So in the feather class, the pattern for the quilt that I showed you, let me show that again. Where did it go? Let me find it. My computer is being all kinds of stubborn today. Documents. I'm just about there. This is just one of those days. Do you ever have days like that? Because that is how my day is going today. Let me come back and share the pictures with you. Here we are. So this, yeah, my screen is not really doing the big relado today. That quilt is made with a charm pack and some background fabric, and it was just really cute. I'm sure I gave it away. I gave away most of my class samples to a charity that takes care of families with undergoing cancer treatments. But this is the practice piece that I designed for the feather class, the Machine Quilted Feather Class. So the pattern's in there, and you'll have step-by-step directions. And as you can see here on the feather, I hope you can see here, it's pretty little. I did flexible feathers inside, so they fill the whole inside of the heart, and on the outside I kind of did more traditional feathers so that it's shaped like a heart on the outside and it's filled on the inside. Hello, I see we have a newcomer. Hello. Today was an interesting video. Things are just not playing nicely today. So lesson number 9, we talked about working on feathered hearts, which are different than feathered wreaths because you have to change direction. And again, that's a really, really useful skill whenever you're putting feathers on your quilts. I have 7 of the 10 lessons for the next feather class already written out. So I'm hoping to get that going, to start working on that in the fall. It's based on this class. So if you enjoyed this, I'm going to be bringing out the next class in the fall, hopefully. Time tends to have its own ideas of what should happen. And it's going to be a little more advanced. So it's based on this class. This is how to make the feathers, how to do the basics, and then we're going to do more things. So if you have ideas of questions that weren't covered in the first one, I'm thinking about how to get your curves of your spine to fit in a border. Let's see, I have the drawings in here. Let me pull out my notebook. Someone suggested yesterday having a square and a square, how to treat feathers in there, how to handle feathers if you have trouble doing one side different than the other. Where's my page with my drawings on it? We're sticking together. Some really fancy feathers, backgrounds, filled spines, things like that. So these are going to be a bunch of little quilts to practice on. And little projects. Yeah, I have 6 drawn out, but there are at least 7 that are done, because I know what number 7 is. And I will be doing talks like this, going through and showing you, talking through each lesson as we do it in the fall. The next things I'm going to be machine quilting are, I just released the Ladybug quilt that's behind me. That's in my Color Blocks Goes Wild class. It's a free class online at debbiebrownquilts.com. And it's just a little scrap quilt, has a little bit of applique in it. And I'll be quilting that one up shortly. I think I have 2 other quilts before it in the queue. Right now I am quilting a color block quilt that I need because I needed a gift. So that will show up in As the Bobbin Turns. And then I have one of the older color block quilts. I have the Cat's quilt from January of this year, basted up and ready to quilt. I have some fun ideas for that one. So that's quilt number 3 in the pile, and I'm looking forward to doing that. I tend to get a lot of machine quilting done in the summer because this room is the only room that has air conditioning. So when it's really hot, I can sit in here with the air conditioner and stay nice and cool. That also works for the extreme of winter, that this is the only room that is really warm in the winter. I can control that. Didn't work so much this year because I was sick all winter. But it's if you need to get more done in your sewing room, make sure it's the only room that is comfortable, is environmentally comfortable, and you'll get a lot more done. So I hope that you have a quilt basted up and ready to go, and that you can sit and play with your quilts. Let's see. When will I be quilting the floating star quilt? That is the next back quilt I'm doing. So I'm finishing the quilts from this year, and then I'm going to start and close out the older quilts that haven't been finished. I have a whole pile of them. They're all sitting there. Some of them are basted and ready to go. So that will be the very first older quilt that I do. So it might be number 5 in the list, because I think I'll have August's quilt I have to get in there as well. So very soon. And once that happens, that's the only quilt from the 2021 Color Blocks class that hasn't been quilted yet. Color Blocks Volume 1. And that's why Color Blocks Volume 1 is still free, that you're free to join it. Once you've joined the class, it's free forever. But I will eventually close the class that new people will have to pay to join it. If you've already joined it, it's yours free forever. But I can't close the class until I finish all the samples. So that's the very next one I'll be doing. Let's see. Oh, yours is done, but you want to see what I'm going to do? Yeah. For folks who are new here, I have some autoimmune medical issues, and it changes my timing. So some months I get more done, some months I get less done, depending on how I'm feeling. Well, hello. I see we have a new one. Today was kind of a day of technical glitches. So go back and watch this. My computer is not playing nicely, but I did get I pulled up a video of a long arm feather and talked about the feathered wreath that way. So I am going to go continue trimming blocks and doing some machine quilting and enjoy just another beautiful summer day, because I think we're getting rain for the rest of the week, as in I know we're getting rain for the rest of the week. I hope you have a great week, or have some time to quilt. Take care of yourselves, and I'll be back again on Tuesday at 2:30 New York time at Debbie Brown Quilts Facebook page, and also on YouTube. And then again this same time next week, where we'll go through lesson 10. We're going to be doing filigree feathers on a quilt that I did not give away. I kept it. It is laid out in my living room, so I'm really excited to talk about that one again. And the filigree feathers, if you've gone through all 9 of the lessons, and you're like, oh, I'm not sure I've mastered any of these. Number 1, feathers take a while to master. But number 2, you don't have to master all of them. Whenever I teach feathers, I teach the easiest one last, because I want you to end on a win. So the filigree feathers, everyone can do this. They're really fun, and I can't wait to show them to you next week. I will give my computer a stern talking to make sure it lets me draw on it. Happy quilting, and I will see you again next week.